Hey, how's it going? It's me, Ricky Stewart. We're in my front room again, which is awesome for functional conditioning yoga. Got some smart stuff lined up for you to make sure that all of your stuff works nice. That's my main deal, that stuff works nice. You've got good joints, good muscles, good proprioception, so you understand how to move everything around, and you can protect it. You can move with strength and purpose and be fast, and it's exciting. I love it like this. Just sort this out a sec. That's a bit of framing. Cool, so let's get started. We get to start, my favourite place to start yoga is perched right up on the edge of a seat. Because I love cross-legged, it's something that I can do with more of. However, it's a bit of an ask for me. I've got to try to do it. I can't just relax in it. I'm always just clinging on a little bit. And for this beginning of a yoga class, I like you to be able to just tune into what you're working with and feel your body and not have to worry about clinging on tight to that cross-legged. And of course, we're all different. If you own cross-legged, if it's yours and you can be in it and totally soften and relax and pay attention to every little detail of your body, carry on. It's fine. There's no right or wrong. We're all too different to set these rules for things. I'll be specific about what I want your body to be able to do, but really, it's up to you to explore what your body can do. And that just wins every time. Okay, so with your hands kind of soft on your knees, and your shoulders down away from your ears, and rib cage flipped up just a little bit. I want you to feel your breath with no cues or anything specific apart from just nasal breathing. That's it. Just have your mouth lightly closed. And then slowly, see if you can make the out breath really count. So every time you breathe out, you feel every millimetre of movement. Make it, like always, about breathing apparatus. See if you can make this stuff move. So it expands as you breathe in, draws in as you breathe out. Controlling your breath is just such a powerful thing. So that when you get out of breath, you don't do that like out of control panting. So I see that quite often with people who've been away from exercise for a while or are brand new to exercise, that as soon as the stress of being fatigued sets in, their body is just like, quick, get all the oxygen in, and they start, and it just, I think it can make things a little bit worse. You still need to do heavy breathing because your body's asking for that oxygen back, and it's asking to level out your carbon dioxide with the breath out. When you can calm yourself down yourself, you'll find you're fine. Quite often, unless you've really done a hard sprint or some HIIT training that you're really trying to find your ceiling, you probably can just breathe a little bit steadier and make this stuff here work. And like always, keep hammering this point home. Your breathing apparatus is the same as your movement apparatus. The muscles around here also help you to be able to find spinal shapes. So let's just try and find some spinal shapes. I kind of like this one. When you're sat upright, doing a little side bend, and try not to let your hips or your pelvis move. So your pelvis stays still, and you find rib cage down to the side of your hips, and rib cage down towards the side of your hips. See if you can breathe. That's it. Then see if you can do this. It's one of my favourite things to do because it's a shape that we find momentarily when we're running. In a side bend plus rotation. See if you can find, rotate this way, and this side bend stays the same. What this asks of your body is that you can understand how to lengthen these muscles here, shorten these muscles here, but still rotate while those muscles are shortened and lengthened. It's the bioflow of our bodies. When you change one angle in one joint, it makes the next joint, next muscle, next bit of tissue behave differently. The bigger the repertoire you have, the more resilient you are, and there's more capacity for strength that you have. That's it. Let's keep this going. See if you can set your breathing to a different rate of your movement, and then across the other side and rotate. So pelvis stays still, and you try and find this side of your rib cage scooping past the pelvis. That's it. Cool. And then if you are sat on the edge of a piece of furniture or something, if you can find anything to sit on, it'd be great. Even if it's a couple of blocks, yoga blocks or something. I want to see if you can flip the rib cage up with your feet quite wide and see how my knees are quite far away from each other. Cross your arms over your chest and try and find your end of where this hip crease can come in this shape. So can you get to here and still have the bottom rib flipped up? And then pick yourself back up and find this end, because I want you to know when you lean forwards and you use your spine to lean forwards, because as soon as I get to here, I feel like that's the end before my spine starts changing shape, and then I curl down, curl up. So let's try that. Find your end without your spine moving. It's probably about this angle here. And then slowly you start unraveling the spine and see if you can drop your shoulders down as low as you can. And pick yourself up and sit all the way back up again. Let's just do a couple more of these. You might do a little bit more focus on muscles of the lower belly, because even though this isn't a heavy movement for these muscles, just because of the way gravity is and the way that your body is set and where you've got stability made by the environment that you're in, i.e. sofa or piece of furniture that you're using, it's not a heavy movement for the muscles of the belly. However, they are very present in this, in keeping your spine stable. And then as you curl your spine over, they are part of this. But you don't need to use them because gravity is pushing you this way. So these muscles in the front of your belly, they don't have to hold so much. There we go. Okay, let's do some shoulder stuff. If you can come into kneeling, that would be good. So if you drop down onto one knee and take a step forwards, I want you to take your opposite hand to this front knee and rotate your torso so it faces out sideways. This hand here, I want you to reach it back as far as you can. See if you can get back further, and then reach it up behind your back. See how my fingers are present here? That's where I want your fingers, like right up behind your back. Then straighten out, then pick them up, bring your bicep to your ear, across your body, and then pick it up, bicep to your ear, and bring it around and reach up behind your back as much as you can. Straighten out, bring it to here. So what I want you to try not to do is unravel your spine from this rotation. So as you come around here, if your chest starts facing forwards, you've unraveled your spine and shared this load out between your shoulder and the rotational stuff in your torso. I want to keep this end range rotation as you find the corners of where this shoulder could possibly work. Go for one more. Yes. Then swap legs. So you come down onto your other knee, other foot forwards, bring this hand across your knee and rotate, reach this arm back as far as you can. Keep reaching back further and further, then bring this arm up behind your back. Maybe you can see fingers poking out from behind there. Straighten out, bring them up and around, up and around and behind your back. Breathing, moving. getting a few clicks and things. Clicks are alright, clicks are allowed as long as they're not painful. They're not really a marker for much at all, really. I mean, they can be if you click and you get pain, then for sure. Or if it feels like a clunk, like a dislocation, then maybe that is a warning sign for things that maybe aren't working as well as they possibly could. Let's go one more. Perfect. And then we'll come back into hips and ankles and things like that. All this lower body stuff. So if you can balance on your left foot, I want to see if you can do really good hip controlled articular rotations. If you pull your heel up towards your bum, drag your knee back as far as it can go. Find it back as far as it will go without changing your torso, without changing your body. You can cheat for balance if you want, hold on to something. Pick this knee out to the side, drag this knee up, across, and back, and out, up, across, and back. And slow it down, like slow motion. Push into these edges, hip stuff. Should feel like an end, like a PlayStation joystick on a PlayStation controller. Imagine doing a big circle with that where it pushes up to the end, there's nowhere else for it to go. I want to do that. But imagine if you tried to do that and then you tilted the whole PlayStation controller, you're not getting any further with that stick. It's still just going as far as it can. And that's this. If you tilt the whole controller, it looks like this, and you end up sharing the load out into this rotation. We don't want that. I want to see if you can keep your pelvis still and budge up against the edges of everything without pain. If anything like hurts, especially the closing angle, especially the contracting side, you need to back away from that. Maybe go see someone who assesses movement, someone like me. It'd be good to go see, and they will help you to find how to put a bit of space in this joint so there's no closing angle, no stuff budging up against other stuff. Oh, there we go, it's exhausting. Okay, into the other foot. So you balance, push this big toe down, knee back, knee out, knee up, knee across, back. And it's all about this rotation here, look. So from here, you can't see my heel, which means the middle of my thigh is still visible forwards. Middle of my thigh is still visible, and then the middle of my thigh points up, across, and back, and watch this rotate out like that. And it's that bit there that I drag along the outside edge of this hip socket. Big toe on this standing foot is very important. Keep that pressed down. Keep this pelvis really still. Let's go one more. Nice. Okay, so let's have a little look at ankle stuff then. So if you just stand with your feet together and take a step a foot length back. So that means you've only gone as far so your toes are in line with your heels, but you stood on train tracks so you're wide enough that you're not going to lose your balance. We need to bend both knees, and it's this back foot, back ankle that we're training. See if you can keep your foot flat and bend this knee until you find maybe a little stretch in Achilles and calf stuff. Maybe you don't. I can't find a stretch there. I've got a little bit more range, but this is what I'm working with. I can't really get any lower before it feels a bit weird, a little bit like you're not a functional space to be in. Then I want you to try and lift this heel like this while you push the toes down. So what I'm after is stretching the stuff out on the sole of your foot. If you've ever suffered with plantar fasciitis or with shin splints, this can really help. Find an ankle. Find these toes bending, pushing the pad of your foot down. You might find that these muscles on your thigh start to burn out a little bit. They probably get a bit tired. I'm trying to push the pad of this foot down. I'm trying to get this ankle, this foot action. A couple more. And one more. Perfect. And then swivel around. Let's see. So, slightly wider feet, a little bend in both knees. Pick this up. Now this isn't all that hard to do. It shouldn't feel like it's super tough. Really, I just want you to be able to do specific things with your ankle and your toes. For now, that's it. We can get into training them more and showing them more complicated, harder shapes to be in. But the hips stay still, look. I want this ankle and this foot and the toes to perform. That's all we're after. Just getting a bit of stretching on the sole of this foot. And feel which part of the pad of your foot you use to propel yourself forwards. That's it. And last one. And then let's get into some standing stretches. So Warrior 2 is one of my favourite poses to train, to teach, because there's so many variations on what can happen in this pose. So if we just get ourselves set up with your feet just a little bit wider than your hips and your toes pointing out about 45 degrees, I want you to turn your right foot so your instep is in line with, is parallel with the camera in front of you. That was terrible English, I'm sorry. And then I want you to swivel the back heel back a little bit so your heel is a tiny bit behind your toes. Then grab hold of your pelvis and rotate it around. Like feel your whole pelvis turn here and see what happens to your knees and stuff. Hopefully you should feel kind of safe here, kind of balanced. But as you try and square your pelvis up with me, you might find a little stretch on this stuff here. And then I want you to see if you can externally rotate this thigh. And it means probably tensing this bum muscle, and then bend this front knee a little bit and try and pull this knee back further using this bum muscle. You're not pulling this knee back at the cost of turning this hip, because you're sharing it then. I want you to keep this stable and try and pull back here until you find this little stretch here. It comes from this bum muscle. Give it a poke. Like when people check to see what they're feeling around where there's muscles working, you should be able to kind of tell that something is happening. And I want you to pull your feet towards each other so you get strong on the floor. Maybe you're a little bit too close, so you can make yourself a little bit longer if you want. Keep pulling this knee back. Maybe you should be able to see your big big toe down the inside of your knee. Try and find this little bit of twisting strength coming from this bum muscle here. Then reach your arms out and shrug your shoulders up. This isn't what we want, obviously, but it's nice to feel what it feels like if you get it wrong. That's a shrug, and that's the opposite. I prefer the opposite for this pose. Then see if you can reach your arms out as much as you can. Fingertip to fingertip is a straight line. See if you can bend this knee some more. Pull your feet towards each other. Just breathe. That's it. Now, still loads of stuff to be explored here. What is your torso doing? What shape is this bit in? You can keep your arms out if you want, but I'm just going to show you things around here. If I flip my rib cage up, I can tell the muscles in the middle of my back contracting to flip this up, and I go into back bend. This might be a stable place for some people that they automatically go into this. I would like to see if they could do it the other way, where they tuck tailbone under and pull the rib cage down a bit to find the muscles in the belly tensing, and then arms out and shoulders down, and reach those fingers out and pull feet towards each other. It's really good. Then I want you to see if you can swivel up into a lunge like this, so your arms go out this way and all the toes are pointing this way. If you need to hop around a bit to find some balance, you totally can. But all the toes pointing forwards. How straight can you keep this back leg, and how low down can you get in this lunge? And you can use a piece of furniture, you can use sofa or something. Maybe you find stretching this hip flexor, and maybe you can get this knee further forwards than your toes, and maybe reach up and hold this here. Remember, it's all within your abilities, so if this is your limit, this is your limit. If you can get down here, and that'd be cool. And bring these hands down and take a step back and go into downward facing dog. So a lot of variation in downward facing dog as well. So if you can see, if you can flip the coccyx up the ways, so it's like you're kind of untucking that tailbone from under your bum, and you should be able to find a bit more stretch in the hamstrings. Push fingertips down and lengthen your spine. Keep breathing here. If I pull my laces up towards my shin, this feels different. Okay, then float your knees down. Let's have a little look at doing the downwards part of a press up. So let's see if you can get your head around this. I want you to push your chest high, fingertips pointing forwards, bring your head forwards, and pull your hands towards each other. You're just on your knees here. Can you do these little cat-cows while you keep your shoulder blades stable and spread? This is shoulder blades together, this is shoulder blades spread. Can you make your pelvis tilt like this? And then drop your thighs to the floor slowly. So you kind of lean forwards and drop thighs to the floor slowly, slowly, slowly. Then push yourself back up and go back into child's pose. Let's try that again. So if you're strong, if you've got this, then you can tuck your toes and come up into full plank. Pull your hands towards each other, keep your chest high as you drop thighs down. Then push yourself back into child's pose again. Let's go for one more. It's that last one. So from the knees, push your chest high. Make sure those shoulder blades are spread, either on your knees or in full plank like this. Pull your hands towards each other, push your fingertips down and drop yourself down slowly and push yourself back into child's pose. Perfect. Then coming up, let's come back up into standing. We'll try again with that warrior 2 from the other side and back round that whole sequence again. So, kind of wide feet. You don't have to be exactly the same width you're going to go for warrior 2 because you can change it. Swivel your left foot out so it goes sideways and then just swivel that back heel a tiny bit behind the little toe. And that should turn your pelvis a little bit diagonally this way. If you bend this front knee and then try and turn your pelvis to face me, then turn your pelvis back and watch these knees rotate. Feel it, feel it happen. Maybe your instep even collapses on this front foot. It's important. I always want you to know what's going on with your instep. So, see if you can square your pelvis up with me, so pockets are kind of parallel in line with the camera, and then try and pull this knee back while you do that and bend this front knee. And it should feel like this bum muscle on this front leg is turning on to stretch this stuff here, and maybe even a little stretch in the groin here as well. And then pull your feet towards each other to make your feet strong on the floor. Don't let the outside edge of this foot kind of peel up. Reach those arms out, shrug your shoulders up again, and then pull your shoulders down. And just see what shape you land in. Look over those front fingers. And just scan your body. See what feels strong. Is this knee happy where it is? Are your hips still kind of square on with me? See, as I move them around, that front knee changes. I'm going to try and find a slot, find a space that makes sense. Then I want you to swivel this back foot so it goes all toes pointing forward. And you can use a bit of furniture to balance, but you might need to do a little hop to bring your feet a bit wider or close together or anything. Keeping this back leg as straight as you can. How low to the floor can you get? Can you get this knee further forwards than your knee? Feel the stretch in this hip flexor here. Strengthen this leg. Keep holding. Keep holding, keep holding. Maybe reach up. Reach those arms down. Step back. We're into downward facing dog again. So pushing hips up as high as you can. See if you can rotate the hips so that sit bone reaches up. So the sit bones where your hamstrings attach reach up. Push fingertips down, lengthen. Breathe. That's it. Just be strong in these arms. Keep pushing your fingertips into the floor and lengthening. Then drop these knees down slowly. We'll do 3 good goes at doing this bottom part of a press up. So push your chest high, so it's the opposite of shoulder blades together, it's chest high. It kind of helps me to explore that, feel what it feels like to collapse, feel what it feels like to extend up, fingertips down, pull hands towards each other, heels push, and bring yourself forwards. So your fingertips are like brakes, stopping your head from getting any further. And then see if you can push your heels together this time as you drop thighs down, chest down, then push yourself back into child's pose. And coming back up and over, heels push, drop yourself down, then back to child's pose. It's just one more of these. So if you've got it, you can do full plank. If not, stay on your knees and do the same again. I go full plank, and I'm going to push my heels together to make my bum muscles tense. See how I'm up in this like humpback bridge shape? I'm going to try and keep that shape as I drop thighs down, chest down, and back into child's pose. That's it. Then coming back up in standing again. So I've missed being at home doing these classes because I've done them in the gym last few times. Let's have a little go at a standing hamstring stretch. Probably my favourite hamstring stretch because I've got clear parameters that I can feel like I'm sticking to. So if you just put your foot up on something, doesn't even need to be as high as the arm of the sofa, it still works on the seat of the sofa like this because you can just lean forwards to find this hamstring stretch. What I want you to remember is where your hamstring actually is and how you're going to stretch this stuff here behind your leg. And it comes from the orientation of your pelvis. So if I can untuck my tailbone so my coccyx kind of peels out from under my bum and pull my toes back, a little soft bend in this knee, just keep holding. Keep pulling those toes back. Flip the rib cage up, peel forwards just a little bit. So this bottom rib is up and finding this stretch here in this hamstring. Keep holding. I've just got to breathe here. I'm looking to feel this stretch here. I'm not after being able to touch my toes even. Because I can't. Unless I change something in my spine, I'm not quite flexible enough to touch my toes. Unless I rotate or curl over, it becomes easy. I'm not after that. I'm after this feeling here. So that is what I want to feel. I'm going to stick around in this feeling and think about it. Tune into it. It's not just that you follow along these poses and then you get more flexible. It's more that you understand what it is that you're trying to pay attention to so it gets better. We want this stuff to get better. Keep holding. Okay. Now I'm going to try do some hard work here. Push this heel down, like really hard. Like you're trying to drive your heel down through the sofa, but also imagine like you've got shoes on and you're trying to take those shoes off by dragging your heel back. Not going anywhere, just pushing down. This pelvis is still trying to tilt this way, so this coccyx tilts back. And this bottom rib flips up, and you're trying to get strong in the hip flexor, strong in the hamstring as you push down. Keep holding. Find this feeling like you've got control here. Then we try and show yourself that you are as strong on the hip flexor as you are flexible in the hamstrings. You start trying to lift this foot while you hinge forwards. So you pull your chest forwards and you lift the foot at the same time. I can't get air time there. Until I lean back, I can't lift this foot. But I can feel like this stuff here is getting better at connecting. That's what I'm after, this connection, this ability to feel these muscles doing their contraction right up in the end range. In 3, 2, 1, and then stretch again. This time you can curl your spine around. I invite you to see how close you can get your head to your foot. And just hold it here for a second. Live in this newfound flexibility in this hamstring. Poke it. See if you can feel stuff in this leg. Like, see where it feels tight. Is your calf tight? Give that a little poke. Feel things to try and understand what it is that's going on in your body. Okay, and coming up. Let's try the other side. So, this foot comes up. A little hop. I kind of like having the inside of my leg against the sofa because it gives me a little bit more stability. Pull those toes back, laces to shin. Kneecap points up, little bend in this knee. I'm not so keen on it fully locked out. Remember, the orientation of your pelvis is what makes this really work. If your tailbone comes out from under your bum, so imagine like you've got hold of your pelvis, you're tilting it like this, so the top goes forwards, the bottom goes back, and that creates the length in this hamstring here. Just can't. It's when people understand that, when they've been suffering with tight hamstrings for a really long time, and then all of a sudden they get that it's the orientation of the pelvis and not touching the toes that creates this connection to this muscle being able to perform in its lengthened state and to perform in its shortened state. You end up bulletproof. You end up strong. So you can do stuff so much better. Okay, let's flip this bottom rib up. We've just got to spend time here hanging out. Just trying to feel, explore it still, so you can still feel what happens if you do move your hips side to side, if you lean forwards, lean back, and then settle on the place where you think that you're learning. You are learning. You're getting more resilient. You're getting more of a connection to this movement and this shape that we want to be in. Keep pulling toes back. Okay, now start driving your heel down hard. Push harder. Keep driving this heel down hard and keep pushing harder. Imagine like you're trying to take your shoe off. So you're kind of pulling the sofa towards you with that heel. Keep pushing, get stronger. This standing leg's got to do work as well, by the way. It's got to push down, flip this rib cage up, connect to this stretching tissue. It's not just about the passive range. I want you to be able to connect and feel stuff happen. And then try and lift from this position where you're leaning forwards. See if you can connect to this hip flexor. And you'll need this big toe on the standing foot to be strong. You'll need to connect, keep pushing, keep lifting, going 3, 2, 1, and drop down. Find that stretch, like head as close to your foot as you can. Let your spine curl over so you get to feel what it feels like. And also it means you can probably rest your arms a little bit, rest your torso a bit, and just live in this stretch. I want your body to adapt, so it needs time to adapt. It needs to be able to find this stuff. Move your hips side to side a couple of times. Go. Okay. Then coming down into seated on any piece of furniture you want, a box, a chair, a stool, a bed. It doesn't matter how high or low this piece of furniture is, because we can make this work. I want you to just straighten your leg out, left leg, and bring your right ankle over onto your thigh and push this knee down. You might find this little stretch on the outside of this hip. If you can get this foot in a bit closer, that'd be cool. We're kind of driving this knee down, sitting up tall, feeling this stretch on the outside of your pelvis. That's it. Keep holding, shoulders down. Remember that this is the same as that standing pigeon I sometimes do on the side of the sofa. It's the same as 90-90 when we lie on the floor and you bring your shin across your body. It's the same as pigeon pose when you lie on the floor and have your back leg lengthened out behind you and this shin across the body. It's all the same. It's the same thing. We're looking at the external rotation of this hip and this stretch on the outside of your hip. But right here I can explore things, same as the standing one. I can move my body around and this other leg isn't inhibiting me. If you can't get this back and if this is the end of the world, just stretch this leg forwards a bit, it gets lower, you get a bit more space to perform. About here is about right for me. And I can flip the rib cage up and sit up really tall. Just keep holding this. See how I'm holding on to this foot? That works. And coming out, let's try this other leg. So, straighten this leg first, put your ankle on your thigh, walk this foot back. Remember, you're working with your body and your niggles, your injuries, your history of movement. If this hurts or anything feels vulnerable, it is vulnerable, just work in a space that you know that you are being safe. It's just so important that we don't, it's not even about overworking ourselves, it's about accepting where you're starting. So whatever you start with, that is it. You start with something and then you build on that. Don't just jump up to the final boss. You haven't earned the right to be able to like get this shin pressed against your chest or whatever the shape is. You just got to be patient and build up the ranks of where your mobility is and where you can add in just a little bit of feeling, a little bit of understanding. It'll keep getting better just a little bit at a time. Keep trying to sit up tall. That is it. And coming out. Okay. Then bring palms together. Fidget a little bit. Push your hands into each other hard. Make a bit of tension. Top half of your body, pull those hands away, bring them in, pull them away, bring them in. Feel like you are strong, pushing those palms together, fingertips, everything. And bring thumbs to forehead and roll forwards. Namaste. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. I appreciate you all so much. Let me know what you've got going on. Like always, I do better with feedback. If you can tell me what it is that you need, then I can keep helping you get better. All right, enjoy the rest of your day, and I will see you soon. Bye, everyone.